us into the future. We've got a new era. We got a new conference, new era. We've said this internally a bit now, but next is now. We're not waiting for that next. Next is here, and it's our opportunity to attack that aggressively, put our coaches and student athletes in the best position possible to go chase championships.
Pull a game out like that, it was just a wonderful feeling, and after that, it just seemed like the guys all said, hey, we can win games, and away we went. And the rest of the season was just a joy.
Welcome into the Inside WSU Athletics podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. Oh, goodness, we have got a lot to get to. Well, as always, a big thank you to our presenting sponsor, BECU. We'll also be joined by someone who needs no introduction. Jim Walden will be stopping by on this week's podcast. But we've got some incredibly exciting news to get to first. Jon Haarlow. Jon, I know you're there. We get a chance to talk about a lot here on this episode, but first thing I want to mention is a huge congrats to you. The interim tag lifted. You're the permanent athletic director here at WSU. Congratulations.
Appreciate it, Chris. This is, I'm not sure it's totally sunk in yet, but grateful for all the notes, grateful for the opportunity. So thankful to President Cantwell for trusting me with this, trusting me in the interim, and then trusting me to take it and run with it from here. So I know I wouldn't be able to be here without the team putting me in this position, and excited. I love WSU, love Pullman, love the Coug Nation, and excited to lock arms with them and lead this thing in the future.
Well, that will serve as our little tease there, because we'll have a chance coming up to talk about that more, and we're excited to dive into that great news. But I know you've been busy. You've been out on the road. There's a lot going on, and we'll have a chance to dive into all that, and then have Coach Walden joining us coming up here as well. So diving right into it, I know it's got to be a whirlwind. Your phone, I'm sure, is still in the process of blowing up, but you've been at the Final Four meetings there, able to go to games. What has this last week been like? Let's just start with that.
Yeah, it's been a good one. Obviously, this is not my normal backdrop. I am on the road, still at the Final Four. Had a wonderful opportunity to be here, much like when we talked about after the national championship in football. This is a great spot for connectivity. I've had meetings with apparel providers, MMR providers, the TV folks, alumni, donors, AI strategists. It's been run the gamut. It's almost like speed dating, except a lot of them I know, but you just hustle, right? You just hustle from meetings to meetings. And so extraordinarily productive couple of days. Excited to be here and be trying to get the Coug head, as we all know, the national brand that it is, try to make sure that it is everybody's frontal lobe, ready to move forward, knowing that we're poised and ready to go for whatever is next at hand in college athletics. And then obviously the excitement of what is the Final Four and the action, watching those student athletes compete. Had a really neat opportunity to, I think we've talked about before. I went to high school in Indianapolis. I went to IU, the 1976, which 50-year anniversary, 1976 Hoosiers. Their team, last team to go undefeated, won the national championship. They were recognized at halftime of the game last night. And I had a really neat opportunity when I was in college. I worked for a gentleman that was on that team, started for that program. Tom Abernethy was his name. Coolest job ever when I came home from college in the summers. Basketball training facility. We ran camps, training, leagues. He was recognized last night, so super cool to be a part of that. His son I went to high school with. He was a senior when I was a sophomore. Played at Ole Miss. He was on Dusty May's staff at Florida Atlantic. So obviously Dusty May won the championship last night for Michigan. He's now at the University of Georgia. My high school friend is. And so just a kind of a cool thing as well. See him recognized, see that come to fruition for somebody I've known for a long time that has a connection there to Dusty May. And so just a super, super cool environment. Again, so honored and thrilled to be able to represent the Cougs, whether it was interim or permanent. Last night, awesome opportunity to represent the Cougs and let them know that we're here, we're ready for what's next, and ready to attack and move forward.
So overall, this sounds like a pretty memorable stretch. I mean, a great trip to the Final Four, and obviously the news that we've talked about before. And again, we'll discuss that in more detail coming up here on the show. And I know in the meantime, we've discussed quite a bit here on the podcast about its spring ball, the Cougar football program, getting out on the road. Already have been to the Tri-Cities, and then most recently, I know it ended up being a fun time had by all up in Spokane this last Saturday.
Yeah, the only negative side about being out on the road in these types of trips is being away from the program, and wasn't able to be there in Spokane. But the pictures that I've seen, the feedback that I've heard, and the discussions amongst the staff and student athletes, another phenomenal turnout. The Coug faithfuls are not disappointing when we take this show on the road, and so excited about that. Obviously, we've got another opportunity to do that here in Pullman related to the spring game here in a couple of weeks. So grateful for the staff being willing to do that. Grateful for the engagement that our student athletes have, and quite honestly, there's really nothing better than being out there and having the team get around the kids, and it's an awesome opportunity for both.
A lot of smiles between the kids and maybe even the bigger smiles for the players and the student athletes as well with that. We got to touch on the Tri-Cities, how the football program's been there, but I know coming up, it's not too far away as we look at the calendar. I mean, shoot, it is April, and then mid-April is that spot, the next edition of the night with Cougar Athletics.
Yeah, so excited for that. In Prosser on April 17th. We're going to be at Smasney Cellars. It's going to be the place to be. It is sold out, but nothing better than celebrating Cougs, being around Cougs, raising dollars for student athlete scholarships, and getting it able to celebrate not only our alumni and our stakeholders, but our student athletes as well. So anxious to see all the Cougs that are going to be there, and anxious to celebrate with the group.
Couple other things to make sure fans have on their radar. Let's start with the Rally Your Region campaign. It's something we've discussed on the podcast before, but want to make sure that is at top of everyone's mind.
Yeah, it's pretty proud of the team for implementation of that, and some generous donors that have leaned into that campaign. Cougs like competition, right? So a fun way to get competition amongst the 4 quadrants in the state, and then outside of the state, additional 5th region there. But all those dollars going towards football, NIL. We've seen great progress, again, thanks to some generous donors out there. Anxious for that to continue to move forward. You'll see additional information and promotions go out about that. But the community is engaged, and we love that because it is so necessary for us to compete moving forward. So proud of the team and what they're doing there.
Okay, some of those dates coming up. As we said, April 17th, night with Cougar Athletics in Prosser, and of course, right there in Kirby Moore's backyard. April 15th as well, participating in Cougs Give Day, April 15th, and a great opportunity to support the CAF with that.
Great opportunity to support the CAF. That is a university-wide initiative. Cougs Give, April 15th. Give to scholarships that day. The annual fund, again, goes towards the student-athlete scholarships. Big push. See what the Coug community can do in one day. We've seen great results for that, not just in our department in previous years, but for the institution or for the foundation as well. So excited about that. A lot of opportunities to get involved and to make an impact.
One final thing I'm going to throw your way before we dive into the latest in athletics, going program by program since our last episode, is just the fact that, hey, football season tickets, it's going to sneak up here soon when kickoff takes place at Giesa Field in the fall. Just making sure everyone aware that football season tickets, that it's never a bad time to either make sure you've renewed those season tickets or you're snagging your season tickets for the 2026 season.
Yeah, Chris, great to point that out. That is the gateway to getting involved and showing your support for the Cougs. Fall seems like it's a ways away, but we know that it's not. The countdown is on. We're going to be back at Giesa Field before we know it. Get there. There's going to be excitement on the field. We're revamping the game day experience, as we've talked about before. New scoreboard that will be expanded. New audio system, lights that are going to sync with sound to get the colorized lighting effect. We're going to create a party atmosphere in there that you don't want to miss. Replicate the energy with the fans that we're going to see by the team on the field. And this is going to be the fall that you don't want to miss on the Palouse.
Okay, getting all up to speed on the latest for Cougar Athletics over the last week. Baseball captured a big series on the road against San Jose State. That was last weekend. It was the first conference road series that the program has won since 2023. This weekend, a great chance to come out and cheer on the team at Bailey Brayton Field, having a 3-game series against Gardner-Webb. Track opened the season last week, April 2nd through the 4th in the Bay Area. Had some really solid times in the Bay Area. Good start to the outdoor season. This week, a group will head to the Jeff Ron Classic. That is in Spokane on Friday. For tennis, posted a 4-3 win over Gonzaga, despite only having 5 players due to injury. This weekend, they close out the home schedule Saturday against Seattle U and Sunday against Portland. The Portland match is senior day, as WSU tennis will recognize the contributions of Ava Alvarez-Sande and Maxine Murphy. So a great chance to come on out and support them. Women's golf, last week they finished 8th at the Silicon Valley Classic, or Silicon Valley Showcase in California. Next, they'll be at the WCC Championships. That is April 25th through the 27th in Fairfield, California. For men's golf, they were off last weekend. Next in action, April 10th through the 12th down in Davis, California. And rowing, it was off last weekend, but again, very excited for this, especially in our house, being married to a former WSU rower. Next in action, April 11th, when WSU Rowing hosts Gonzaga and the only home regatta of the season.
Full slate of events, Chris. And again, it just with the announcement today and all these different things that the Cougs are doing, competing all over the country, competing back home, I'm just anxious to get back to campus and celebrate with the staff, the coaches, and our student athletes, and excited for what they have done and what they continue to do.
Well, on that note, we will take a break. We'll hear from our sponsor, BECU. We'll have more with Jon, and then we'll be joined by Jim Walden, again, right after this word from BECU.
How do you spot a Coug in the wild? Head-to-toe crimson, gray, and, well, anything except purple? A simple "Go Cougs" at an airport halfway around the globe? Or maybe just a little pride from BECU and some extra money in your pocket when you pay for your tacos. Get the card Cougs everywhere recognize. Join today. BECU. Go Cougs.
Well, here we are, and I get the chance to turn the tables a little bit here, as we've mentioned at the top of the podcast, that incredibly exciting news being announced earlier this week that the interim tag removed. Jon Haarlow named the permanent athletic director here at WSU. And Jon, I'm smiling saying those words. 16th athletic director in WSU history. How does that feel when you hear that?
Feels good, Chris, and I appreciate it. Fun to be on this side of the podcast here with you. I'm grateful. Grateful for the opportunity, grateful for the belief that President Cantwell has shared with me during the interim period, and then obviously an opportunity to run with this moving forward. Grateful for what college athletics can do, for what WSU can do. I've seen the impact that it has on families and individuals, and creating opportunities moving forward for student athletes, and humbled to be a part of it. I've gotten a lot of really, really nice notes today from folks, and it's humbling, to be quite honest with you. I'm not sure it's totally set in yet. The news just broke a little bit ago. Here we are recording, which is pretty fun. So it's a little bit raw. This is probably not the sharpest I'll be in this setting. But again, I'm grateful for it. I shared this story with the team, with our staff, and we got to meet with them earlier. Obviously, I'm still traveling. Was at the Final Four. Was at the championship game on Monday night. I have a cousin who I think the world of. I have several cousins that I think the world of, but one that I've looked up to, who's been in the sport industry for quite some time, and she's been a hero for me. And I've watched her career, and I've always had opportunities to converse with her, and she's on some really great stories and perspective to me. Last night, and we stay in touch, but we don't get to see each other very often. She lives in New York, and obviously I'm in Pullman, so we're on totally opposite sides of the country. But randomly, I run into her last night at the Final Four or at the championship game. Didn't know that she was going to be there. And I thought I saw her walk in, but I thought there's a lot of people here. There's probably not. So I shoot her a text, and she said, "Yeah, I absolutely am." So we meet up in one of the sections, and we're catching up for a little bit. And I share the news with her that this was going to come out today. And she was obviously has followed what I've been able to do in my career and the opportunities that I've been able to have. And again, this is someone who I've just thought the world of from day one, and followed her career. And she grabs me and she says, cuz this is a big deal. I'm so freaking proud of you. And it just like, it hit me right there. Like everything at once hit that this opportunity was real and come to fruition. And here I am a little bit like emotional. I'm 70,000 people at the most exciting college athletic event of the year. And I'm like fighting back tears because how much this means to me and how grateful I am. And to be able to share that with a family member and get a perspective on that last night was pretty incredible for me. And so, it's been a great day. I'm proud to be a Coug every day, and I'm grateful for this opportunity moving forward.
What a great moment that you were able to have and share with us here. And this happens after a whole heck of a lot of hard work. And I know you're surrounded by excellent people. There's a great team here for WSU athletics, but you've been leading the department for the past 5 months. Now that this is official, does today feel any different for you?
I appreciate the sentiment there. It's been the 5 months. I feel like we've been able to make a tremendous impact. We've got some really neat things in place, some exciting things in place. But to your point there, it's not lost on me that I would not have this opportunity if it wasn't for my team, the coaches, our staff, the student athletes for performing every day with energy, their commitment to the Cougs. It's their tremendous work that's allowed me to have this opportunity moving forward. And so I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful for the interactions that we get to have every day. I'm grateful for the student athletes. It's a little bit different, but a little bit the same too. The mission remains the same as to what we're doing. I think I made this comment, back several months ago when I was given this opportunity on an interim basis that I was going to attack this like it was my 30-year position. I didn't know how the results were going to work out, but was committed to. The goal wasn't to get me the job. The goal was to move the department forward and set them up for whatever it lies next. And I think we've done some things. What next? I think next is now for us. And I think we're in a really good spot. I'm grateful for the group, grateful for Coug Nation, and wouldn't want to do this with any other group of people, any other group of student athletes, and any other families.
That leads right to the next question. How would you describe your vision for the department moving forward?
Yeah, it's a good question. Student athletes are at the 100% center of what we do here. We want to attack every day with them at the center of our focus, but we have to continue to put ourselves in position to create resources, to put them in a position to go get championships and develop beyond the court or field or pool of competition. And so our vision is continue to build the team in an external mindset with an external focus, be bold in our willingness to go and put ourselves out there to get revenue. We got to acquire resources. And then the mindset never changes on, we want to put these young people in an opportunity or a position to go chase trophies and championships. And then beyond that, we set them up for the next phase of their lives. So we want to develop the holistic student athlete, so that when they leave here and their competition is over, that they go and attack the next phase of their life and they're developed completely to do that. So I want to develop both sides of the student, and that's what we're here for. That's the why at the end of the day, is the opportunity to spend time with them and allow them to chase a dream, and then the dream that's after. Coach Moore says it all the time. I've stolen it, right? He says chase two dreams. It's 100% accurate. I believe in that wholeheartedly, and that's what we're here for. And I know that's what the team is committed to doing as well.
I think it's pretty clear that one of the strengths of the athletic department right now is that alignment with President Cantwell and campus leadership. And I think we just have to go back to a few episodes ago on the podcast and seeing that conversation with President Cantwell and yourself. I would think you would agree with that statement. And if you could expand on that, just that alignment and how important that is with leadership here at WSU for the university as a whole and the athletic department.
Yeah, I think we've seen it here never more true than recently, both in words and actions. We've seen the board step up and make some, put the flag in the ground with their investment of the $20 million in the one-time funds. President Cantwell has continued to be bold and expressing her support and being visible with athletics. That's being at games, being at practice, and operating on our behalf amongst the state and otherwise of pronouncing that athletics is important to our university and where we're going. And she makes those statements out there, accurately so, with a bold approach. And it's my job to continue to carry that as boots on the ground every day, that we're going to be primed and ready to go. We're in a state of disruption, not just us, WSU, but athletics as a whole. And I can be out there making sure that folks, one of the reasons that I was at the Final Four was to get in front of all sorts of different groups that are in industry, various, channels that they run through, to let them know that the Cougs are serious. And I want to make sure that we're top of mind whenever the next opportunities come. It's my job to make sure that we're out there and we're in front of them, to make sure that the logo is always visible. And knowing that we have a president that is supportive of that and is in alignment with that makes my job that much, I say easier to go along those terms when there is complete alignment from the board, the president, and then with our department.
You've made it clear on multiple occasions, and including, prior in this conversation, how student athlete experience, that's priority number one for you, because I know how important that is for you. Can you expand on that and just, dive in more on what that exactly entails?
Yeah. So we always see the student athletes in competition. That's what's on TV, right? Or when you attend a game, we see them in competition, but that's just a fraction of what they do when they're spending their time here at WSU. And so they've got practice time, they've got training. We wrap them around holistically with nutrition, academics, compliance, their sport performance. We have a mental health center with the Champion Center. And it's all of those things. I'll call it 5%. That's the competition. It's everything else when they come here, they trust us to develop them as an athlete, as an individual, as a young adult moving forward. And so it's all those other things that we get to help them and drive them forward that is beyond sport and the competition that the public sees. And so we've got a tremendous staff that's focused on that with nutrition, sport performance, in the classroom with academics, any of the medical needs that they may need. We're constantly moving them. The coaches take care of the stuff on the court. We got to support them and wrap them in all the other areas that we can to continue to develop them holistically, so that it's not that it's ever easy on the court, right? But it gives them an opportunity to put all their energy there. And then when they're off, we're taking care of them as well. And then we help them move on to the next phase of their life with a network that they can lean on, like the Coug faithfuls out there well beyond our campus.
How critical is it that Cougar Nation is engaged? And we can talk donating, attending events, buying merchandise, or purchasing tickets. I know you could even, I'm sure, expand from there, but that engagement piece, how critical is that?
It's of the utmost importance for Coug Nation. And we're a passionate fan base. I would argue the most passionate fan base. That's what makes it so fun to be a part of this community and part of this group. I mentioned it earlier in the podcast, on previous podcasts, that supporting through tickets, that's the gateway to making an impact. Being there physically, showing up on game day, yelling, cheering, for those student athletes to see the impact that you can make audibly and physically with support there. Next level of support is getting involved with the Cougar Athletic Fund, whether through scholarships and financial aid with our annual fund, or giving to an excellence fund with NIL. And we've talked about NIL several times on this podcast and in other opportunities. That is where our industry is going. We're there now. And the opportunity for us to recruit and retain Cougs is through NIL. And that's where we are. And we believe that we've continued to make opportunities, tax deductible gift right now you can give to the Cougar Athletic Fund that can go to NIL, help our teams build out their rosters for next year and moving forward. And it's of the utmost importance. I've loved integrating over the last 5 years with Coug Nation, been embraced. I can't tell you how overwhelming it is and amazing the amount of people that have embraced me as a Coug during my time here. And they continue to show up. And now more than ever, it is so important for that to happen. And I'm anxious to lock arms with them even more so now, drive us into the future. We've got a new era. We got a new conference, new era. We've said this internally a bit now, but next is now. We're not waiting for that next. Next is here. And it's our opportunity to attack that aggressively, put our coaches and student athletes in the best position possible to go chase championships, and then develop them beyond the court or competition as well.
I asked you before about your vision. This can be a little similar, but also different, I think, goals. When it comes to goals for the department, what would you say when it comes to both short-term and long-term?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Chris. It's pretty simple. Short-term, our staff, we got to acquire resources to put our coaches and student athletes to pursue championships and then develop them in the classroom and beyond. And then that's the short term. That allows us to remain relevant, interesting, and competitive for what the next iteration of college athletics is. We've talked about it here and in other publications or other conversations that we're 2 or 3 years, if that, away from another shakeup, I believe, in industry. And we have to, again, be competitive in our sports, give the resources to create competitiveness there, and develop our student athletes along the way. And that positions us for what the next iteration is. And so we got to be ready, got to be nimble, got to be aggressive for when that happens. We know there's going to be another domino to fall. So I've got to make sure, and President Cantwell is all in on this as well, to make sure that we are agile and front of mind for when that next shoe drops, and that we're ready to pounce when it does.
Well, you've mentioned before that your family loves Pullman. You've got 2 young kids. What makes Pullman, the Palouse, WSU so special to Jon Haarlow and the Haarlow family?
Yeah, it's hard to describe, quite honestly, Chris, but I'll do my best. WSU is so much more than an institution, and Pullman is so much more than just a town. It's a community that's embraced my family from day one. I got a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old who are arguably more popular around Pullman than I am. We'll go into Walmart and somebody will pass and they'll be like, "Hey, Gage." And I'm like, "Dude, how did you know who?" And, "Oh, that's so-and-so." The opportunities, the intimacy of what Pullman creates, the youth sports, the engagement, the community that rallies around our sports, obviously, it is a special place for a family, one that, again, has embraced us from early on, and one that we've called home. We've been places. This has been home for us the last 5 years, and that's why I'm so thrilled for. While there was some uncertainty around the interim, I couldn't be more thrilled to remain home, and my kids to remain here, and they get to continue on with their friends. Be Cougs. All they know is being Cougs, and they love being at the events. They love the student athletes, the staff that they get to interact with. Just couldn't be more grateful for what they've wrapped us in support since we've been here. It's a special place, a special people. Community is one that I've never experienced anything like it, and quite honestly, don't want to.
Jon, once again, congrats. When it comes to the present and the future, there's a lot to be excited about. Let's go. Let's go. We got a lot more to talk about on our future episodes of the podcast, but on this one, again, just want to say congrats to you, and what a fun thing that we get to talk about here and get a chance to dive in a little bit more on today.
Go Cougs.
Well, with that, we're going to talk to someone coming up next who we know loves the Cougs. We've got Coach Jim Walden joining us right after this.
How do you spot a Coug in the wild? Head to toe crimson, gray, and, well, anything except purple? A simple "Go Cougs" at an airport halfway around the globe? Or maybe just a little pride from BECU and some extra money in your pocket when you pay for your tacos. Get the card Cougs everywhere recognize. Join today. BECU. Go Cougs.
All right. Well, we are excited to welcome in our next guest. And Jon, I guess the best way I can toss it to you right now is to say our next guest is someone who really needs no introduction.
I think you're absolutely right, Chris. So we have who was our head football coach for 9 years, leading the Cougs, 2-time Pac-10 Coach of the Year, Mr. Jim Walden. Coach, so great to be here with you. Thanks for joining us.
Well, it's good to be with you guys. It's a beautiful day. We're getting better. We got a new coach. It's all good.
I love that. I love that. So maybe as we get rolling here, maybe share with Coug Nation what you've been up to last few years, what you're up to these days. What are you spending your time doing?
Well, as when you get my age, try to get into a rhythm of doing as little as you can, and and right now I'm mastering it. Uh, but no, I don't. I'm not really doing much. It's just the way I wanted it. I lived a pretty active life for a long time. And I love to, I watch ball games on TV. I'm a big Mariner fan. They got to get to hitting a little better. And but overall, I just enjoy. Like last night, I loved the basketball game, and just do what you do when you're retired. I've had some back problems since 24, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to play much golf this summer, but I'm going to try. But other than that, guys, it's just a good life. I get up, read the paper, have a cup of coffee, go work out. I have a place up here called The Fuel. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but so I go over there and act like I'm getting stronger and tell everybody I've got to be careful not to break one of the machines. And at least I tell my wife that. And that's it. That's about all I do. Keep up with things, and I'm excited about our team in '81 getting the Hall of Fame, and that's just marvelous.
Well, that's what we want to talk to you about right now. The 1981 team, that news coming out last week, Lee Blakeney being inducted into the WSU Athletic Hall of Fame later this fall. I imagine that brought a big smile to your face. What were your initial thoughts when you heard that news?
Well, my initial thoughts were, "Oh wow, how good will the players love that?" I know that sounds silly, but I just feel like that team was so fun, and they just worked so hard, and the very fact that they were uh, kind of a senior class of guys that I wonder why they even came, because I know you guys, you have no idea, you don't remember it, you have no reason to. But when you take over a football program that's had three previous coaches in 3 years, so in essence, I'm the fourth head coach in 4 years. Can you imagine the seniors in 1978, so to speak? Now, they weren't here in '81, but you go back. Why did those freshmen and sophomores come to our program? And it's like when you said, well, we got Cleet Casper to come, and he's one of the top quarterbacks in Washington. Why did he come? There's a gratitude in my heart, guys, for freshmen that came in 1978. They got rewarded in 1981 by going to a bowl game. And that's what I always think about, how much I appreciate those young men for taking a chance on Jim Walden that he wouldn't leave after 1 year. But I have to tell you now, trying to sell a program that where you've had, in counting me, I was the fourth head coach in 4 years, and boy, your opponents are reminding every kid you're recruiting of that. Everybody we recruited, we'd ask them, well, did the guy from Oregon say that? Oh yeah, he told me 2 or 3 times, you better not go there because Walden will be gone next year too. So, so it was just a wonderful thing for me to see the reward those guys got. Now they earned it, and then we had some good players come along behind them. But the '81 team was such a great accomplishment because they took a chance to come to Washington State.
Well, that's such a great way to describe the team. And shoot, that was the first bowl team here at WSU in 51 years. When it came to getting those results on the field and to earning that trip to the bowl game, what made the team special to be able to have that kind of accomplishment?
Well, I think they were committed to just doing the very best they could do it. And I'll give my coaching staff credit. We were able to get guys in the right positions for them to do the best they could do. And that's strictly coaching. And I don't ever mind taking credit for it. I had a good staff, and they were very good about getting guys in position and making them love it. And I think that's what it led to, that most of the guys, I'd say 90% of the guys, were very comfortable where they were as a position and their ability to play. And it just worked out that we ended up with the dangest thing you've ever seen. I had a quarterback named Cleet Casper and one named Ricky Turner. Cleet was probably a 5'3" guy on the 40-yard dash, but he had all the other aspects. He could throw the ball really well. He understood our offense. He knew how to check us in and out of things. Ricky, on the other hand, was a sophomore who was flighty as you could be, but he was a heck of an athlete. So we're running an option offense, and yet we want to throw the ball. That was our whole objective. So Cleet did the passing, and Ricky did the option running, even though we let them both lap over. But you can't imagine the amount of letters and things I got during that year telling me that I was wrong and we're playing two quarterbacks. Nobody plays two quarterbacks, blah, blah, blah. And if you don't know the truth, the two quarterbacks hated it too. But you'll get a kick out of this. Every time they'd say, well, Coach, well, separately they would say, I wish I need to play more. You be the first team. I'd say, well, here's the deal. I'll put it on a basis of the one that plays the best next week gets all the playing time for next week, or we'll keep doing it how we're doing it. And every time I put it on that basis, guys, they'd say, well, it's not that bad. Because I think both of them wanted to play all the time, but they also were afraid that they might not measure up and not get to play any. So it was very comfortable for us as coaches because we had literally almost two complete offenses. When we brought Ricky in, we changed the concept. He would do about 30% of the things we didn't do with Cleet and vice versa. And all together, they ended up being, if you combined them, you'd say they were a perfect quarterback for our system.
Pretty awesome insight to hear on that. I know it's different through a coach's lens, but was there ever a play or maybe a game that kind of flipped the switch and you thought, hey, this team might be pretty darn good? Was there any moment that stood out that may have flipped that in your mind?
Well, no, not really. I can't remember that there was a single, this is it. But if it's anything, the closest would be was when we were down, I think 13 or 12 to nothing to Colorado. And we had played so bad and just was stinking the place up. And we finally managed to score a touchdown. So now we're only down 13-7. And I'll never forget this because it was like we played really good on defense, but just awful on offense. And we had finally come down to where we didn't know for sure if we could pull this off. And they were running the clock out, and then they had to punt. We held them. And I think Sorensen, I think, blocked the punt. I always get it confused. One of them blocked the punt, the other one picked it up and ran it down to about the 3-yard line, and we scored a touchdown and we stole a victory from Colorado, if you want to know the truth. We had no business winning it, but it seemed to turn our whole team around, just being able to come from behind, not play the best we could play, and yet still able to pull a game out like that. It was just a wonderful feeling, and after that, it just seemed like the guys all said, hey, we can win games, and away we went. And the rest of the season was just a joy.
Well, Coach, I was going to ask you about what comes to mind first when it comes to that team, but it seems like you might have already answered that. Is dedication seems to be the first thing that comes to your mind, as you mentioned before.
Well, it was, and it's like I say, the dedication started when they even just made an acceptance to come to our place. It always felt loyalty in this team. The seniors on this team just seemed to be what you want at Washington State. They accepted the challenge. They had a great time. They were wild horse riders. Now, some of them I'd have to kind of scold them just a little bit. I didn't want to kick any of them off because I didn't have that many to think ahead. But I mean, they lived life freely. Let's put it that way. And every weekend was a Uh, well, every weekend was nervous. Let's just put it that way. And but we got to it. But they just had that spirit of enjoying doing things, and boys will be boys, so to speak. And we managed to get through it. Then we added some guys to it too. There's some juniors and sophomores that came along, and a couple of guys out of junior college, and Mike Walker, for instance, and Ilya Sorrow. I mean, those guys. It was just a fun bunch of guys, and they just had a great spirit. They'd come out to play, and never gave us any complaints. Just an enjoyable and enjoy being a Cougar.
Well, Coach, we're talking about the 81 team. We also mentioned before Lee, who is being honored as well. Incredible. 524 career tackles. That pretty much doesn't seem possible. How would you describe what he meant to the program and just what kind of career he put together here in Pullman?
Well, it goes without saying that he was a really good football player. And at the time in college, I never thought so much of him using the term great. I don't think Lee Blakeney was a great football player in his own mind, and in mine either one. But what we would do every Sunday when we were looking at film, you'd say, "My goodness, the guy made 13 tackles and and then assisted on 4 more." And so over a 5 year period, little by little, we all began to say, what is with this guy? He's not the fastest linebacker. He probably, and that's why I think he didn't end up in the NFL. He didn't have the speed that you think linebackers should have to make the kind of plays that he made. And yet, somehow or another, he had an instinct that was just hard to define. And we used to talk about it in our staff meetings all the time. What does he see? What is he doing? Because we wanted to try to get him to where we could pass it on to other players. But it was just him. He just had this great feel. He did, like I say, he did not have sideline to sideline speed. Junior Tupiola would be an example of what we thought Lee Blakeney would have in terms of speed, but yet Lee just seemed to be where the ball was, and he just made great plays, play after play after play for us. And it went on, like I say, when he got hurt, but his 4 years here, he just did a great job.
Coach, it's an honor for you to join us here today. Honor for you to join us here today. We're so excited for the 81 team and for Lee to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Next step is getting you back to a couple games here in Pullman.
Well, I'm always thinking about you. My love is there, and there's not much gets in the way of my ability to listen to or watch the Cougars every week. It's a unbelievably good school. It's a wonderful student school. I loved every minute I was there, and I still love every minute. I keep hearing today, I just heard not too long ago, a young man whose daughter is going to school there. And I said, well, how does she like it? He said, oh, makes me nervous how much she likes it. So it's just, it's that type of college. And I was just lucky to have been able to share it and be there.
We appreciate you so much, Coach. Thanks again.
You bet, guys. Take care and have a good summer.
Well, a big thanks not only to Coach Walden, to Jon Haarlow, to our sponsor BECU. That will do it for this edition of the Inside WSU Athletics podcast. Thanks so much for joining us, and as always, go Cougs.